Assalamualaikum.
Oh, Walaikum Salam, Maria. How are you?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I think there was some
Mm.
technical issue going on.
Yeah. So finally you're online, mashallah.
Finally, I am.
Really great. Let me restart again. So because this is the reconnection,
Sure.
so I'll start. So you be with me and then we'll connect.
Perfect.
So Assalamu alaikum viewers. This is Yasir Zahir YZ live again with another episode. This is the second episode of Live with YZ. Every week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. I invite a different mental health expert and we discuss about those burning mental health issues which people don't tend to talk about. You may have questions in your mind, but you may not find those resources and the people around to, so you don't get those answers which are in your head right now. So I'll try to ask those common questions, your questions with those mental health experts. So today with me is Maria Waris. Maria is a clinical psychologist and a highly in-demand psychologist of Psych Brain. And not only this, one lucky viewer will win a one free online session with Maria. Yes, that's right. So stay tuned and keep checking. We'll announce the winner later, but very soon. So when we talk about mental disorder in children, mental disorder is described as a serious change in the way children behave, learn, and show their emotions. And they have some problem and they may show some distress getting through the day. Many children occasionally have problems like anxiety and fears and disruptive behaviors. But if the symptoms are severe and persistent, and if they interfere with children's school, home, or their play activities, a child may be diagnosed with a mental disorder. So the other common mental disorder in childhood are attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, anxiety, ADHD, and behavior disorders. So these are the issues. So let's, without further delay, let's discuss with Maria and ask those questions, your questions, which are in your head. So Maria, how are you today?
First of all, thank you for a wonderful introduction. And I'm good, Alhamdulillah. You're right about children having anxiety and all the issues. So I'm really excited and looking forward to this session. And also Abdullah, hi Abdullah, just said hello to me. He's my ex-colleague.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Maria, I have a lot of questions lined up. Our followers have sent those questions to me, and there are also a lot of questions juggling in my mind. So I'll be asking those questions one by one. So first question is actually, I have received this question. A lot of people have asked this question. This is a very common question. Okay, how to identify if a child is going through some mental disorder, some mental issues? How to identify those things, those symptoms, and what are those exactly symptoms which a common man can identify?
Okay, first of all, when we talk about mental disorders, so it is very important, and symptoms associated to them. So it is very important to understand about the intensity and the duration of those symptoms, because it might be something that it's based on a phase, just like grief phase, right? So the symptoms might come during that grief phase, but it cannot be called as a mental disorder, right? The diagnosis cannot be given on the basis of that. So the severity level is important, the intensity is important, and that's how we basically can determine if that's a mental disorder or not. And coming to the symptoms, so those are basically the red flags that you can see in children or adolescents or even in adults. For example, a child who has been treated as a bully or bullied at school, right? And or he may be showcasing behaviors like being isolated, talking about hurt, or talking about death, talking about suicide, asking questions about what happens when we die, things like that. or maybe he must be hurting himself, self-harming must be a common thing, or he must be searching on Google, like if you can check their browsing histories, so you can find things which are not so common, all right, or age appropriate. So those are the things that you need to see. Other than that, you can also see if they have any issues related to concentration or attention, or maybe like, they are sad, they are not able to express themselves, being irritated all the time, not being expressive at all, you know. So these are those features that you can see, and you can actually talk about these things with them. Ask them that what's really going on. Also, you can check on their marks, their achievements and all of that. So if they have increased motivation or if they have decreased motivation. So these are all the factors that you must see, and you can actually compare like a pre and post thing. You can see that, 2 weeks back, this child was not like that. So even like we as practitioners or therapists, when we go and when we get all these clients, adolescents or children, so we basically ask history, which is a very detailed history from parents. Sometimes it's also from the caregivers, guardians, or even teachers, just to check that how has he been doing, or has there been anything different in his, current life, or maybe in his recent time. So these are like small factors that we need to look out for, and they basically determine those symptoms and the severity. So one of the major things is that if all these symptoms are actually interfering with their daily function, that means their daily life, they are getting affected or others are getting affected. And that's persistent. That's like more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks, more than like 1 month or 3 months, or maybe 6 months. So that depends on the type of disorder that we are going to be diagnosing. So that's why therapists and practitioners are there, doctors are there, so that these things can be, checked accordingly, and not a self-diagnosis thing. Yeah, because I've seen that people normally Google their symptoms, and Google makes it a lot for them, like a nightmare, and they're basically, based on the symptoms, they go like, maybe I have this, maybe I'm going through this, or, things like that. So Google can be a best friend to many people, but then when it comes to therapy, when it comes to mental disorders, or even like physical or biological causes of anything like that, so it's always better to talk to someone and discuss that with those professionals. They might be a better resource for you, and they can discuss more in detail and tell you about that.
Okay, so it is always better to get from professionals. So Google is there, but Google is not for everything. It may be a good search engine and a very good resource, but not in this respect. So you must get help from professionals, right?
Yes.
So, okay, viewers, you can ask questions live as well, because I have collected all those questions which I received earlier. So you can still ask questions if you have live right now. So Maria, my next question is, now schools are open again, but still some students have opted for a distance learning program. So most of the time spent using mobile phones, laptops, maybe for studies and for games and for other stuff. So we know that a lot of screen time, it actually have an impact on child's behavior and on their brain. So in this current situation, like how should we keep them mentally stable in this current situation? Because we have read stories about those children who used a lot of screen, and they were like severely affected, and their brain were jammed. Like, this is the common thing that we have been reading about. So tell us something about it.
Definitely, Yasser. It's one of the biggest question these days. Like, what to do. The question about what should be done, because screens and virtual learning has become like a lifeline to everybody, not just for their personal use, but also for their professional use as well. So it's very important that how to go about it. And even if I would say that with this technology, we should evolve in a way, we should be flexible so that we can evolve and make it, make use of it in a better way. For example, fire was also discovered, right? And during those times back then, we found that it can be used to cook food. But at the same time, we also found that it can kill or it can harm someone. So that the limiting of how to use certain things is very important. And over here as well, even for children or adolescents, when we talk about them, so when we are stuck, I actually call it like a smart sedentary lifestyle, because we are just sitting and with our mobile phones and all of that, we're just, getting entertained. So one of the factors over here is that when we are watching something, so all these colors and, it has a very appealing interface and accessibility of different things at the same time. If I get bored with Instagram, so I can go and log into like Facebook, or if not, I can just Google and watch a movie, YouTube. So, there's like a lot of stuff on internet. So for that, it is very important that we should understand how to limit that. Consciously make an effort and bring it to awareness that this is the thing that can actually have adverse effects as well, just how it has benefits. So the immediate gratification that we get from this thing is something that makes us get stuck with it, right? So, but I mostly prefer suggesting people to have a balanced, usage of things. For example, that you have to use your screen or your, laptop, computers, or your mobile because you have a class going on, okay? Or maybe you are in a meeting, like work from home phase. So that's the need of the time, right? That's the demand. But with that, you can actually use it during that. You have to, right? There is no another way. But maybe after some hours, what you can do is you can balance it with something physical exercise or something. And you can have certain duties given to different members of the house. For example, you can give them like cleaning of their rooms, or maybe different parts of the house. With that, what will happen that they will engage in something meaningful. They would know that the outcome would be something that's useful and it's very important for the house. So that's a cause. Maybe not on a bigger level, but within a household, it's a cause, right? And then maybe you can have free screen time meals, during your dinner, lunch, or even your breakfast. And also, one of the very important factors is that when parents tell their children, like, apart from the classes and the meetings, when they use for their leisure time, So parents should talk about it with their children. They can have certain contracts signed. And what is applicable for the children should be applicable to the parents as well. It's more of like lead by example. It's more of like I'm telling you to stop and I'm doing the same thing, right? So a child can actually have mixed messages. So I'm talking in respect to children and adolescents, who are in the phase of, looking at you as an example and getting messages that how to live like my dad or my mom, or someone in the house who has authority. So when we talk about that, so it's very important that you can sign certain contracts. You can write clauses. You can say that you have to watch this. You can use your phone for like 2 hours a day, apart from your classes or anything like that. And then you have to keep it back, right? So within those hours, you can do this, you can do that. Now, by the end of the week, you can have certain incentives or reinforcements for them that they can enjoy. So that way, it's more of like a transaction taking place. So the children or the adolescents, they would be, they would look for something, look out for something, and they would feel that, okay, so this is not something we are getting ourselves wasted to. If we are keeping our phones, so that means we have something else as well. And by the end of the week, we're going to get that. So that pleasure gratification that we get when we watch something on TV or even like laptops or iPads. So that gets balanced with that. And of course, activities like gardening. And since it's COVID, so I will not say you can go and hang out and all of that. Just be safe, be at home. If you've been asked to stay at home and work from home, so it's more of like your social life might get affected because of that. So it's just the need of the time, and how to balance it can be pretty difficult. But if you know that you have to balance it, if you know that what are the adverse effects and how it's affecting your brain, so definitely you must think about it. Yeah.
All right. So the key here is to lead by example as well. The most important thing.
Yes.
So if you are asking your children to do certain things, and if you are not doing it and you have not shown them, they will not follow it. Yes. So you have to lead by example, and you have to keep them engaged.
Yes.
And there is a reward program as well. It should be there. If you have done something, you should acknowledge it, and you give them some reward. So that works. So this is how it works, right? Okay, wonderful, Maria. Okay, so the next question is, in traditional learning methods, teachers and parents, they used to physically punish children, and some people still believe in it. So, but according to recent studies, it has very adverse effect on children's mind. This physical punishment. So, what do you have to say about it?
For this, the idea of punishment from parent side or maybe from the teachers or mentor side is basically not just to punish them but to discipline them. Okay, now that's a very key area that we need to focus here, because normally what parents do is that they follow a mechanism. They actually start with reasoning. For example, they don't like something, the child has done something wrong, and that is something that needs immediate attention from the parent end, so that the child can be disciplined accordingly and be told that what to do, right? And when that reasoning is not successful, the child is unable to understand that what really happened or why has he been asked to stop, right? So that's the moment it might be possible that the parent maybe due to impulsivity or, they might lose their control and they might get into punishing them, or maybe beating them in terms of punishment and all that. So it's very important that the parent should understand that this is a time when I may lose my control. Okay, so it's important that they should first take a step back, they should think about it, and then they can think that, okay, this reasoning did not work. The rationale that I gave to them did not work. But at the end of the day, they are stopping them from something, right? That means it is something big. From a child's point of view, it is something really big. That's why you're stopping them, right? It must be something bad for the child. Now, to make the child understand, you need to take different measures instead of beating. Because if I talk about for children at this age, self-control is very difficult to manage. So for them also, they're absorbing everything. It's more of like vicarious learning going on, and they can just look at the parents and, as I said, lead by example. So they might say that, okay, maybe beating is fine, right? So with this beating, their self-esteem that can also get distorted, and their self-image can also be, damaged because of that. And the most important thing, the relationship between the child, adolescent, or the parent, even, all these, like from 1 year to 18 years. This is a very important and a very sensitive age for children or adolescents. So this is during this time that beating should actually be the last resort when it comes to punishment. There are other ways, they can actually try those, but beating should be kept. I mean, I don't really believe that it should ever be kept as an option, but even if it is in the most severest and the most difficult of times when the child is just not listening and all of that. So even in that, you must think twice before using your hand or maybe some accessory to throw at the child or beat him with, because this actually scars the child for life. So, as a professional, I would never recommend this to any parent. I would just recommend them to reconsider this, even if they are high on their impulses and they cannot control it. Because with communication, everything is possible. It's just the way how you convey it. It's not what you are doing; it's just how you are doing it. So it's important that they must use those right words so that whatever they want to convey, they can be done within time and effectively.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Maria. Wonderful explanation. Asha, there is one thing about the power of words, because we have heard the words have a lot of powers, and it have like a deep impact on people. So how about those parents and teachers maybe who abuse and label children, like because I have read कि जो physical wounds होते हैं वो तो heal हो जाते हैं, but the wounds by words, it takes a lifetime maybe. So tell us something about it, the power of words, those abusing and labeling of children. What is the problem behind that?
It's a very good question. And what I personally feel is that when we use words, words have a lot of power, right? And they have such a big power that they can change people's lives, like
Yeah.
simply. So when a child who is just barely like 8 years maybe, or maybe 5 years, or maybe like 9 to 10, or if we talk about adolescents. So when they see their parents talking about something about them, which is quite negative, okay? So now they're actually seeing the world through the lens of their parents. That's one part to it. And then when they see that a parent who is supposed to be our caregiver, who is supposed to be there when we, all the time, and we have to turn back to them for every little problem or for every biggest achievement of ours, we need to, go to them and cherish that with them. Now the parent, when they use such words for them, so how would that feel? I mean, definitely, it would be very hurtful, and that guilt, that regret. So it actually might label them for life. And that's how they might see that others also see them the same way. And that way, it's more of like, it might be possible that the child might stop expressing himself to other people, might internalize emotions, and they might not be able to have that attachment with their other peers. And even in the long term, if we see, so when they're in their adulthood, so they might have attachment issues, that secure attachment with their partner or spouses. So that is one of the major things that the words can do, especially coming from parents. So the child might get fixated to it, and this fixation can be for life, So as I said earlier in the previous part, that communication is a very important factor, and one must choose their words like very carefully.
Thank you very much. Acha, one of our followers, Mahin Mahmood, she is asking how to be more productive every day and also how to control the habit of using cell phone all the time. I think you've already told this about, and with respect to generally you can tell us in briefly how to just get rid of this habit of using cell phone all the time.
Okay, so first I'll start with the productivity part that he has mentioned. Because I normally get clients who talk about productivity, and they are very keen to know that how to be productive, especially during the time of COVID and post-COVID, because the world actually stopped during this time. So once it has started now, so everything is like in a rush. So they really want to know how to do it. Basically, there are different, and also for screen time. So I'll be sharing about how you can do that. The first part is stay on schedule. Okay. That's very basic. You have 24 hours in a day, and you have time, you have the clock. Okay, you can set up your schedule in a way that from your breakfast till you drink water, till you have those 5 minutes of break, you can actually write all of these things and mention it on your schedule. So that once you're on your schedule, I know it sounds like, we're not robots, and it's not possible for everybody to really plan the day. But just to make it a habit, you need to be on it needs to be on the paper first, and then you can consciously follow it. And once it becomes a habit, so you would know that how much time is needed for doing certain tasks. Okay, and then you yourself can actually regulate all of that accordingly. So one part is this, that how you can be on your schedule. Then also you can talk about your needs with your friends, with your family. Tell them that, I need privacy, I need my time because I am on this project right now and I need to complete it, right? So that's again another factor to it. Now, there are different applications like Todoist, like Moment. Now, these are those applications that turn off the notifications on your phone or those distracting applications on your phone. So they basically does not allow them to send you notifications. Now, when you're working or on a project, so, and if you cannot turn off your Wi-Fi, right? So you can turn on these apps so that they can stop those distractions from coming in. Another thing is that I recently recommended this to one of my clients. It was a Pomodoro activity. Okay, it was like a Pomodoro feature. And what happens is that there is like you take 5 minutes break. Okay, You take 25 minutes Pomodoro activity. Now you set up a task, now which is timed for 25 minutes. Okay, you set up a timer for those 25 minutes, and then when it rings, you can take a 5-minute break. In those 5 minutes, you can walk around, you can have a water or chit chat with your mom or even your friend or anybody. And then you can come back, set up another Pomodoro for another activity. And after 4 Pomodoros, you take a long break. And that long break can be for about like 30 minutes or 15 to 30 minutes. Okay, so now depending on the task that you have during the day, you can have several Pomodoros for yourself. And then with this, you're having your breaks. It's not something that's getting a lot for you. You can check your mobiles during this time. You can check all those notifications during that half-hour break, have your lunch, have your dinner, okay, maybe a quick call. Because I'd like to quote one thing over here, that when you have distractions in the middle, so that actually takes you back several times, For example, you're driving on a highway, okay, so your speed is like maintained. You're just driving straight, right? But what happens if there is a speed breaker? So when there is a speed breaker, your speed stops, not just right at your speed breaker, but some seconds before. So you stop, you just move forward with 1, then second. So basically, these distractions work as those speed breakers. If this analogy can be used to explain how distractions literally waste your time. So when you're on a project and you need to focus, so one of the most important things is that to have less distractions around you. And also, it's a very common thing. It happens with me as well. When I'm working, I feel like I should maybe text certain people and get done with it. Get done with that certain thing, and then I'll focus and give my 100% focus to this thing. But then I text, something happens, and I'm just long gone with that. So all of my energy that has actually accumulated to gathered to use it on that certain task that needed my energy, I've actually wasted on other things. So stay focused and stay attentive to what you are doing. I think that's the basic key.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Maria. And thank you so much. That brings to the end of our session today. Thank you for your time, Maria. We had a very fruitful discussion today, and I hope our viewers have learned a lot and they got the answers of those questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah.
Thank you, Maria. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you. Allah Hafiz.